The sun had not yet decided to rise, but Leo was already awake. His small room was filled with the quiet breathing of his younger siblings. A gentle sound, a heavy responsibility. He looked at their sleeping faces, peaceful and unaware of the world's worries. For them, he would face anything. This was his promise, a silent vow he made every single morning before the first light touched the sky. His family was his world, his reason for every tired muscle and every drop of sweat. They were the beginning and the end of his every thought, a circle of love that kept him moving forward. He quietly slipped out of the house. The air was cool and crisp, a stark contrast to the warmth he had just left behind. His mother was often sick, unable to work as she once did. His father was gone, a story told in hushed tones and sad glances. So, the weight fell on Leo's young shoulders. He did not complain. He simply accepted it. It was his role, his duty. He walked through the silent streets, a lone figure moving with a purpose that was older than his years. Each step was a commitment to provide, to ensure there was food on the table when he returned. His first job of the day was at the bakery. The smell of fresh bread was a comfort and a torment. He kneaded dough with strong, steady hands. His arms ached, but he pushed the feeling away. He thought of his sister's smile. He thought of his brother's laughter. These were the fuel for his tired body. The baker, a kind old man with flour in his eyebrows, would sometimes give him a leftover loaf. Leo would hold it close, a treasure worth more than gold. It was a small victory, a tangible piece of hope he could carry home. This was his routine, a life built around small jobs and big hopes. He was young, but he carried the burdens of a man much older. He didn't have dreams of fame or fortune. His dreams were simpler, more profound. A full pantry, a warm house, the sound of his family eating a good meal, their faces content. These were the pictures he held in his mind. They were his North Star, guiding him through the darkness of the early morning and the long, exhausting hours that lay ahead of him. He was a provider, a protector, a son, and a brother. After the bakery, the day was a blur of constant motion. Leo moved from one task to the next, a human bee pollinating the city with his hard work. He would help unload trucks at the local market, his back straining under the weight of heavy boxes filled with fruits and vegetables. The other men were older, bigger, but Leo worked with a fierce determination that earned their quiet respect. They saw the fire in his eyes, the unspoken story of a young man fighting for something precious. He never stopped, not even for a moment, because every minute wasted was a minute his family might go without. From the market, he would rush to wash cars. The sun would be high in the sky now, beating down on his neck. Soap and water ran down his arms as he scrubbed away the city's grime from shiny metal surfaces. He would see his reflection in the car windows, a tired face with dirt on his cheek, but he would also see the blue sky behind him, a vast canvas of possibility. He would think about how each clean car was another coin in his pocket, another step toward a full meal for his loved ones. The work was hard, often thankless, but it was necessary. In the afternoons, he delivered newspapers. He knew every street, every corner, every shortcut. His feet, clad in worn-out shoes, pounded the pavement with a steady rhythm. The headlines screamed of world events, of big stories and important people. But for Leo, the most important story was the one unfolding in his own small home. The story of survival, the story of love. He was a small part of a big world, but his mission was the biggest of all, to care for the people who were his entire universe. As evening approached, his body would scream for rest. Every muscle ached with a deep, persistent pain. He would find one last job, perhaps sweeping a shop floor or helping a street vendor pack up for the night. The pay was little, but every little bit counted. He was like a builder, constructing his family's well-being one tiny brick at a time. The day was long, a marathon of effort and sacrifice. But as he collected his small earnings, a sense of accomplishment would wash over him, a quiet pride in knowing he had done all he could. There were moments, of course, when the weight felt too heavy to bear. Sometimes late at night, when the house was still and everyone was asleep, doubt would creep into his mind like a cold fog. He would sit by the window looking at the moon and wonder if he was strong enough. He would see other young men his age laughing, free from the burdens he carried. A pang of sadness would hit him, a quiet question of, why me? The loneliness of his journey would feel immense, a vast ocean threatening to swallow him whole. He would remember a time a customer had yelled at him for being too slow. The harsh words had stung, making him feel small and insignificant. In that moment, he had wanted to walk away, to give up, to let the world win. The feeling of failure was a bitter taste in his mouth. He replayed the scene in his mind, the anger and frustration bubbling up inside him. It was hard to stay positive when the world seemed determined to push him down. These were the moments that tested his spirit, the silent battles fought within his own heart. Fatigue was his constant companion. It was more than just physical tiredness, it was a deep, soul-crushing exhaustion. Some days his hope would flicker like a dying candle. He would look at the small amount of money in his hand and feel a wave of despair. Was this all his effort was worth? Would it ever be enough? The path ahead seemed impossibly long, an endless road of struggle with no destination in sight. The whispers of doubt would grow louder, telling him he was foolish to keep trying, that nothing would ever change. But then, just as despair threatened to take hold, he would hear a sound. It might be his sister murmuring in her sleep, or his mother's soft cough from the other room. And in that sound, he would find his strength again. It was a reminder of his purpose, a beacon of light cutting through the fog of his doubt. His love for his family was an anchor, holding him steady in the stormiest of seas. He was not just working for himself, he was working for them. And for them, he would find the courage to face another day. Slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, things began to change. His relentless hard work started to create ripples of positive change. The baker, impressed by his dedication, offered him more hours and a small raise. The market vendors began to save the freshest produce for him, a gesture of respect for the boy who worked harder than anyone. These were not grand miracles, but small, significant shifts. They were proof that his efforts were not invisible. The world was beginning to notice his struggle and his strength. One evening he came home to find his mother sitting up in bed, a small smile on her face. She had used some of the money he earned to buy medicine, and she was feeling stronger. She looked at him, her eyes filled with a love and pride that filled his heart to bursting. "You are a good son, Leo," she said, her voice soft but clear. In that moment, all the tiredness, all the doubt, melted away. Her words were the greatest reward he could ever receive. He saw hope in her eyes, a hope that he had helped to create. His hard work did more than just put food on the table. It wove a new fabric of hope for his family. His younger siblings started doing better in school, their minds free from the constant worry of an empty stomach. The atmosphere in their small home began to lighten. There was more laughter, more conversation. Leo's sacrifice was nurturing not just their bodies, but their spirits as well. He was not just a provider, he was a beacon of resilience, showing them that even in the darkest of times, it was possible to create light. And so, the story of Leo is not just a story of hardship. It is a story of the profound power of love and the quiet dignity of hard work. It teaches us that success is not always measured in wealth or fame, but in the lives we touch and the hope we inspire. Leo's journey was long and difficult, but it was a journey toward light. He learned that no matter how heavy the burden, the human spirit, fueled by love, can endure. And in the end, the reward is not just a better life, but a deeper understanding of what truly matters. Never give up, for in every sunrise there is a new beginning.